Hi, my name is John Kovacs. This is a quick video on the R5000 to recap everything that you've learned in the owner's manual that came with the equipment package as well. Now, a few of these items may be in your packages, a few of these items may not be in your packages, just depending on what you did or you did not purchase at that time. Now, walking through a couple of these items that are laid out for you. Again, some of these may be in your package, it may not be in your package. Here on the floor, we've got a 25-foot auger that's going to connect to a brush. Depending on the actual size of the duct will dictate the actual brush size that you'll be using. But they'll connect directly to your auger by a push pin on the end, which you push in there. You're going to rotate around, and then it'll lock into place, just like so. This will be connected to the end of your cordless drill, which is not going to be included in any of the packages that you purchased. You'll need to provide your own cordless drill so you can use your brush auger as well as attach your plenum connector as well. So we have your drill here. In your package, if you purchase the VIPRE Clean Sweep System, you're going to have multiple rods, anywhere from 25 to 50 to 100 foot of rods, depending on what you purchase. On the end of it, with your compressed air lines, they'll just snap into place, just like you see here. Depending on how long or far you need to go, will depend on how long or how many you'll attach to it. Now, on the end of it here, I'll walk around here for you. You'll have a rod, which allows your compressed air to come through, and then you're going to have forward or reversed air sweeps shown here. Now, this rubber tubing that's connected to the end of the forward or reverse air sweeps are going to be dictated again by the duct size that you're going to be cleaning. So in your package, depending on whether or not you purchase the VIPRE Clean Sweep System or not, you'll have tubing from 4-inch or to 6-inch to 20 inches, just again, depending on what you want, as well as there's tubing that you can purchase to customize the size that you want. Now, again, the reason why I call this a forward or reverse air sweep is because on the actual head itself, you have holes, which will allow the air to move forward or allow the air to move backwards on the actual air sweep. So again, forward or reverse. Oops, excuse me, guys. Now again, it's just going to dictate whether or not you blow the air forward or if you blow the air backwards. Now, what you're also going to receive in the VIPRE Clean Sweep System is going to be an octopus-looking system like this one. Now this one has 3 tentacles. As you go through the ductwork and it blows, it will actually blow through the ductwork, which we'll show you here in just a minute. You also have a Malco hole cutter, which is going to allow you to cut the hole inside of the duct, which will range anywhere from a 2-inch to a 12-inch hole that you can cut. You'll have the plenum connector. You'll have a fogger, which we'll go over later as well, and then you'll have the EnviroCon that comes with it as well. Now, you also have zone bags. The zone bags are going to seal off the ductwork for you, so if you're cleaning a commercial application, you can allow the vacuum to maximize depending on where you zone the system off. Now, you may receive a black bag, you may receive a blue bag. That's going to be dictated by the actual size of the ductwork that you're going to be cleaning out whenever you go through it. So, now we'll move over here. I'll give you a quick overview of the actual R5000. The R5000 have 3 stages of filtration. You'll have a filter here on both sides on your blank doors. You also have a blank door if you purchase that, which will allow you to use it for remediation if you choose to do so. You'll have a filter, a pleated filter, in between the actual sock filter as well. Now, moving just a little bit closer, I'll pull this sock filter out for you. While I'm doing that, you can notice that the machine itself can be pulled apart. 3 of the 4 components are 25 pounds or less. In the event you need to get through a door, you need to go upstairs, in a basement, etc., you can just disassemble the unit itself. Now, at the collection point here, you're going to have a sock bag. Sock bag is washable. Pull it out like this, empty it out, wash it out, depending on what you're cleaning mold, etc. You may just want to toss them and get a new one there. But then you have your pleated filtration below it. Again, to put the filter back in, Once the filter bag's back in, take the cover itself, which you'll place on top, twist and latch on 3 of the 4 sides. And then you're ready to go. Oh, excuse me here. Make sure all your latches are done. Now, on the front side of this, you're able to see that we have 2 different cords plugged in here. Now, you have to be careful if you are going in and you're cleaning a home that has weaker breakers, you may blow it. So, if you have 2 different outlets, you may want to put it on 2 different circuits. Now, whenever you're using the actual extension cords that come with it are always going to be 14 gauge or greater. Make sure that you're always using this. If you use your own, again, 14 gauge or greater on the extension cord itself. Now, moving into the actual air duct cleaning process itself. There's 2 different ways that you can use the negative air machine. One, you can use it in conjunction with your Rotobrush if you choose this purchase. Now, if you decide to use your Rotobrush with it, what you're going to do is you'll actually hook the machine, and you have a 25-foot hose here, connector hose. You'll actually hook the connector hose to the machine itself, which we'll show you in a moment, and then you'll hook the connector plate to the actual ductwork itself and use it where you're just creating a vacuum. At that point, you can just take the hose, depending with the brush connected to it, depending on the actual duct size itself. Again, will dictate the size of the brush itself. But then, starting from the furthest register from the air handler itself, you'll just start working your way through the ductwork itself. And then at that point, anything that the Rotobrush does not vacuum up will actually be pulled back into the actual collector itself, into the reservoir. Now, assuming you don't have a Rotobrush, this is the process that we'll walk through. Now, what you're going to do is, just like it showed in the owner's manual itself, is you're going to start from the furthest register from the air handler itself, working your way back to the closest to the air handler. Now, the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to go to the actual air handler itself. You're going to cut an access hole, 8 to 10 inches in the ductwork itself. Once you've done this, you're going to take the connector plate, which is going to be this, and you're going to take it and you're actually going to attach it to the ductwork. Once you've done this, you're going to take a zone bag, like we showed you here, whether or not it's the black or the blue zone bag, and you're going to put it inside of the hole, and you're going to block off the air handler from the access point that you've cut. The reason why you're doing this is because now all that dust and debris that you're sucking back to the air handler itself, as well as blowing it with the dust and debris, now it's going to seal it off, and it's going to ensure that it doesn't get on the actual unit itself. So again, you're going to take the zone bags, you'll insert it into the machine itself, you'll use your compressed air to actually blow up the bag itself and to zone off the system. Now, once this is done, you'll take the end of the actual hose itself. Again, one is going to be connected to the end of the negative air machine, and then the second piece will be connected to the plate that we're going to insert here in a moment. Then at that point, what you're going to do is, starting from that furthest register from the air handler, you're going to use this 25-foot brush auger system to go in, and you're going to physically agitate each and every one of these ducts. While you're doing this, some of the dust and debris that you're dislodging will be sucked back to the air handler, not all of it. Now, that's why it's important to go back and use the second step. The whip step, forward and reverse air sweeps that we were talking about before, now once you've brushed every single one of the ducts inside of the home, you're going to come back through with compressed air lines. And you're going to insert them, again, going from that furthest register from the air handler into each and every one of the ducts. We'll say there's a supply coming out here, you send it in, it's going to go in, it's going to blow from the tip, this will whip around, it's going to blow that dust and debris back to the air handler in conjunction with the vacuum that the R5000 is creating. So as you go through, as it bounces around, it's going to take that dust and debris you've dislodged, put it airborne, suck it all the way back. So again, you'll use these. Now we'll go ahead and walk through the process itself. So what your next step is going to do is, whenever you actually activate the negative air machine itself, the R5000, you turn it on. Now it's creating a vacuum. Well, you'll need to seal off every single one of the registers that you're cleaning, or excuse me, that are inside of the home, except for the one that you're cleaning at that time. Now by doing this, it's going to maximize the vacuum that you have from point A to point B as you go through and clean it. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and grab these different items. We'll put it on the machine itself, and then we're going to go through and we'll actually show you the cleaning process itself. So first thing we're going to do, take the connector itself, walk to the air handler, and just inserts directly over top of it. Just clamps down like this. Now, whenever you're going into the home, obviously you're not going to have the hose sprawled out across the floor. We just did that so I could show you here. But at that point, now we need to actually go in and put the connector plate on top of it as well. So like I was showing you prior to, you're going to take your zone bags. You'll insert the zone bag itself using compressed air. Now you'll have a compressor outside, etc. Let's grab this piece here. So you can just go ahead and run your compressed air, you know, whether or not it's in a basement, etc. I'm going to set this here. So you come to your actual zone bag itself, and we'll just pull it out so you can see here. You have a nozzle on the end where you can turn it, close off your valve once it's inserted and put inside of there. So again, it's a big balloon. It balloons up a bladder and then it seals it off for you. We're going to set this out of the way. We'll come back to that. Let's grab a drill and come out of the picture for a second. And we'll screw this connector plate in. Doesn't matter the self-tapping screws that you have, just as long as you have some. I'm sure everybody's dropped a screw there. See here where I dropped this other one. All right. Now, due to the fact that we've done training for years, this ductwork here has tons of holes in it, so depending on which one it wants to go in there. But you have about 9 holes that you need to seal up as you go through there, or to put screws in. All right, so now that we have the connector plate on the actual ductwork itself, we can attach the connector. Again, 25 foot. You do have options to get them longer or shorter if you'd like to. Then you just connect it to it. Now, on the bottom here, you'll have two switches. The first one will give you 2,500 CFM, and then the second one will give you an additional 2,500 CFM, equal to the 5,000 CFM. Now, we're just going to go ahead and shut one of those off so we can speak here. But whenever you go through, and move over here, what I did is I just cut the top of a piece of cardboard. You can either use cardboard pieces, you can go to Quick Signs, have some magnets made, etc. But the next step is for you to seal off the actual registers inside of the home. So as you go through, again, you're maximizing the amount of vacuum that you have. So now, what you can do is watch the actual ducts, and you'll be able to see them flex, as we cover them up. Depending on how large or small the ductwork is, you can go through and seal off multiple registers inside of the home. Now, if you're cleaning a commercial application, industrial application, and your ductwork are 3 times this size, well, you'll take these zone bags and you'll go off and you'll actually zone them off. The smaller the area that you're cleaning, the more airflow that you're going to maximize as you seal off these different registers. Now, just so we can talk, we're going to leave the R5000 off at this time, and I'll just set this down. But again, at this point, remember, everything that you're cleaning, or excuse me, all the ducts inside the home except for the one that you're cleaning is going to be sealed up at this time. Now, we'll just set this down. Again, we're going to take our forward or reverse air sweep, just depending on what it is that you're cleaning, and we're going to attach it to our compressed air line. Now, whenever we do this, and you turn it on, that's what it's going to look like. Now, it is safe for flex duct. If the ductwork's ever been compromised or damaged, obviously don't clean it. So, starting from the furthest register from the air handler itself, and let's just go ahead and turn this back on just. So we know, again, we have to have those registers covered, all but the one that we're cleaning. Now, depending on, you go through and you can have it agitate. This way we can hear it again. But again, starting from that furthest register, when you go in, you're going to have it. You've already rotated with your compressor, or excuse me, your brush auger system to actually clean it. Now again, you're coming back through with your compressed air. As it goes, it's just going to bounce around inside of the ductwork itself. Again, agitating inside of it, airborne, and then blowing the dust and debris back to the actual access hole itself. Now in this case, I'm using a forward air sweep. So again, the hole's in the front of it. So as I'm going through, that dust and debris is blowing this way, in addition to the agitation, blowing into my main trunk line. Once it hits your main trunk line, it's going to be vacuumed up. Now, if I'm coming from this point, we'll say that this duct runs too long, and you don't have access or enough line to actually go all the way through and to continue to push it down. Well, at that point, you have the option to cut 1-inch holes. Your actual forward and reverse air sweeps are going to be just a slight smaller. So what you're going to do is you can come in the actual main trunk line itself and insert it through this way. Now, again, if the air handler is behind me, well, as I'm coming through, if I push this line all the way down, forward and reverse, if those holes are in the back of it, well, at that point, that dust and debris is going to be moving backwards, again, with the airflow itself. Again, if I'm coming from the opposite end, then I'd use a forward air sweep. So now, that dust and debris is being pushed in conjunction with it as well. Just be cognizant of which way you're going as you're going. At that point, you pull it out. Again, the actual whip itself is going to be, the whip size will be dictated by the actual size of the ductwork itself. So we'll put this down as we go through. Now again, in your package you may or may not have received plugs. They're 1-inch plugs to actually seal the hole that you put up. And then you're going to take, depending on the state you're in, the aluminum tape, HVAC tape, and actually cover the hole and then seal it back up as well. So that's the actual process whenever you go through and you clean the air ducts. Once you're done with this, once you're done cleaning the actual system itself, you'll pull the actual self-tapping screws back out. Then again, you can put a 12-inch plate on top of it, and then again, seal it up with your state-required tape, depending on which one it's going to be. So, and then at that point, you're done. Moving to the fogger itself, again, depending on the package that you received, you may or may not have received a fogger. But it's just a UL fogger. The chemical that we supply is called EnviroClean. It is EPA registered, and it is designed for HVAC use. So there's no shelf life on the actual fogger, or excuse me, on the chemical itself. Just don't store it in extreme heat or extreme cold. Generally, what I'll do is I'll take the chemical and I'll pour about half of the bottle inside of the fogger itself. That way there's not too much weight on the actual fogger itself. But whenever you're fogging, you're going to fog for 60 seconds per 1,000 square foot is what you should be looking for. Sometimes you may go to each one of the actual returns themselves and then just divide that number up by the number of returns inside of the home. But as you're going through and you're cleaning the air ducts, the system's been turned off. It's been de-energized through this entire process. Now you're going to walk back to the actual thermostat itself. You're going to re-energize it. You'll turn the fan back on the actual thermostat itself. Now that the fan's sucking through, you'll go to each one of the returns themselves and you'll fog. Now, on the actual fogger itself, you have an on and off switch right there on the top. So that'll either turn it on or off. Now the actual line itself, at this point while the fogger's on, now it's blowing air directly through the nozzle itself. On the side, you have a knob, you just rotate it to the amount of mist that you want coming out. The fogger will take it, it'll deatomize the chemical that's in there, basically turn it into a mist, and then you'll fog the system itself. A rule of thumb is you don't want the ductwork saturated. So again, 60 seconds per 1,000 square foot is what you're looking for. Do not saturate the ducts. It is a 110, so you just plug it directly into a 110 outlet. We do have 220s if available for you if that's something that you need as well. So again, that's the duct cleaning process to kind of recap what you guys have already learned in your owner's manual as well. So if you have any questions, feel free to give us a call back, let us know, and we'll be here to help you. Thank you again for your business.